and today I'm going to demo version 1 of the AVIATOR app, which is a native application that we have been working with the Family Services of Dayton, Ohio to develop. So just some background before I get into the app. The app that I'm going to be demoing today is based on the Android platform. So what you see here is just an emulator of a Google Nexus 5 phone. It's an Android phone. But everything you see here also works on any iPhone. So what you see here is the initial view of AVIATOR, and whenever you start the app, a 911 dialog appears. I went ahead and skipped ahead here, but the idea is that if a user is in a situation where they need to dial 911, this dialog prompts them to do so. And they will be able to call 911 directly from the app. So this is the initial view, as I said, and we have a lot of features to cover, so I'm going to jump right in here to personal resources. Now, personal resources are basically the initial resources that a user would go to find information, and what we've done is we want to guide the user to service providers that will be best able to help them depending on their situation. So we have two tabs here. General, the categories under the General tab here are those that are designed to really help those that are victims of circumstance. So say, I'm a victim of a natural disaster, I'm looking for food, I'm looking for basic needs, safety, so on and so forth. Or maybe I just got laid off and I'm looking for general family resources that can help me and my family get back on our feet. And if at any point you're confused about the types of service providers you would see under these categories, there is an information button attached to each one of those families, and it provides a brief description about the types of service providers that you would expect to see associated with that category. So once you read that, you can close out of it, and that is a basic summary of the General tab. So if you go over here to Crime, it's the same idea, except it's targeted towards victims of crime. So here we have an extensive list of different crimes, and the idea is you're looking for, or if you're a victim of identity theft, you can go into cyber crimes or computer fraud, credit card fraud, and find service providers that specialize in reclaiming your identity. And if you're confused about kind of where to go from here, we added a little support icon up here in the upper right hand corner, so you can click on that and it'll give you a brief description of kind of what's going on in this view. So in this case, it says find local resources. If you're a victim of crime, use the Crime tab, otherwise use the General tab. So it's a very basic description. But if you would like a more in-depth tutorial of how to operate the app, we do have a YouTube channel that lists all these different tutorials. So if you click yes here, you can say I want to use YouTube, and it'll link you directly to the AVIATOR app tutorials playlist. So there's no videos in there yet, but once this deploys to the store, we will definitely have some videos in there. So I'm going to go with the example of natural disaster. I'm looking for food. So if I click on this food category, I'll get a list of all the providers in the database that can help me find food, basically. And right now we're working with a very limited subset. This is by no means comprehensive, but again, that's something that will be addressed by the time the app is in the store. So what you see here are two service providers that can help you, find food, but they also specialize in other things, and that is indicated here underneath their name. For example, with Daybreak, you see shelter, food, and clothing. So not only do they provide food, they can also provide shelter and clothing. And in addition, Community Action Partnership not only does food and clothing, but they can also help find you financial assistance to, you know, for food stamps or something like that. Along the right-hand side here, we have a distance between your current location and the location of the service provider. Now, if you have GPS disabled on your phone, the app will still work, you just won't get this distance estimate between your location and the nearest service provider. And from here, I can do a search. If I know I'm looking for a particular service provider and I know their name, I can type it right in. Again, this would be more useful with a larger list. I can also look at a map view of these service providers. And if I zoom in right to my location, zoomed in a little too far, I can see that these providers are just south of me. I can click on them and see exactly what each of these service providers are. So go back to my list real quick. In addition to this locate tab, there's also a quick call tab, and that will list any provider that has a 24/7 manned line that you can call in your time of need. So if you're desperate for help or in crisis situations, the idea would be to visit this quick call tab and you would get a list of the service providers that you could talk to immediately. So now that we're back at the locate list, I can also run a quick filter on specific services, so I can really get down to the nitty-gritty of these service providers that I'm looking for. So let's say I'm only interested in looking for providers that provide food. If I do that, I can see, well, actually that filter didn't didn't do anything. Clothing. Actually, financial assistance. So here, Community Action Partnership is the only one that's returned. And that will also be reflected in the map here. So the filter will work on both the list and the map. So if I click here, or if I click on that item in the list, I can click on this map pop-up here and get directed to the provider details page, which, as the name implies, it gives you details about that provider. So for example, I get a list of, or not a list, but a description of what that provider specifically does. I see their address, I can call their number, or I can visit their website. And in some providers, actually, I'll go, let me go back to my list. Go back to showing all. There we go. So with that previous provider, they didn't have an email option, but if there are providers that do allow users to contact them via email, then this email provider button will be displayed. So for provider details, like I said, it shows the address here. I can easily get directions by clicking the button. It will automatically open up your native map application and automatically route you from your current location to the service provider of interest. Back out of that. So back at the provider details page now. From here I can call the provider. This will automatically open up the call dialog so a user can call them right off the bat. I can email them. So if I pick Gmail, this will automatically populate an email to the provider that has a stock message that basically says, I'm interested in your services, please contact me when you can. And of course that email can be customized. If they don't like that stock message or they're interested in something specific, they can easily edit that and send that to the service provider. And finally, you can visit a website. Whenever you are exiting the app, especially to see a website, we have a disclaimer here that says, this is third-party content. We're not responsible for anything that may show up on this website. And from there, you're automatically directed to the service provider's website to gain even more information if needed. So I get back out of here. Those are the main features of the provider details page. There's a couple of bonus options up here. I can share with friends, so if I'm searching on behalf of a friend who is in need of resources, I can share this with her via any app that shares text. So I went ahead and picked Gmail, but if your friend is more likely to use Facebook Messenger or something, it would work just as easily with that. So yeah. Again, it's similar to the email provider. It shows up with a stock message. The idea is that you would enter, a friend's email address and send the information of this provider directly to them. So it'll show you their phone number, their email, their website, and a description of what they do. So if I back out of here, the last thing I can do on the provider details page is tag as a favorite provider. So if this is a provider I'm consistently going to and looking up, I can tag as a favorite, and we will see where that comes into play in a little bit. So let me back out of here, back out of here. I don't think there's anything else I need to show other than, yeah, so similar to the general tab, I can click on a info button here and get information about what a particular crime type means and whether or not that would apply to me. So again, very similar to the general service providers. We're getting distances right now between my location and the location of a provider that can help me with domestic partner violence issues. So if I back out of that, now everything else that you see from here is going to be basically the same general flow that you saw in personal resources, but just a slightly different flavor. So we'll go into law and corrections, and what this particular feature does is it narrows down all of the providers in the database and only shows those that can help with law, basically 3 different categories: law, legal representation, and judicial or the court system. And right now you see a lot of question marks. All that means is that the distance hasn't been calculated yet, but once the app has done that, it'll show up right there. And again, nothing really different here in the law and corrections tab. So for example, if I go to the map, I can see all of those service providers that are closest to me. I can zoom in, and maybe I'm in a situation where I'm looking for the closest police department. If I search for that, get the closest one, which is on 3rd Street. Click that, call them, get directions, so on and so forth. So that is law and corrections. And another feature of the law and corrections tile is Vine. And what this tab allows you to do is, if you are a victim whose perpetrator is in jail and you want to keep an eye on their activity, whether or not they've been released or moved or anything like that, you can visit Vine's website, or they do provide a native app, and if you click on the download app button, it'll take you directly to the Google Play Store, where if you don't have it installed, it will ask if you want to install it, but since we already have it installed, we get the option to open it. So open it directly from there, and you can begin using the Vine app to get notifications about your particular perpetrator. Back out of there. Victim compensation, again, similar to law and corrections. And the personal resources, it's just going to show you resources that help you with victim compensation. So right now, the only one that we have is the Ohio Attorney General's office. I can click it, get the information that I need to begin the victim compensation process. Special populations. So these are going to be providers that can help special populations or specialized services. So right now, we only have providers that specialize with veteran services, but the plan is to add elder care to that list as well, in addition to providers that specialize in the deaf community. So if I click on veterans, again, like I said, flow is always the same. It's just going to be a different flavor of what you see. So let me back out of that. And let's see, I'll go ahead and I'll do Crisis Contacts before I do my account. Crisis Contacts provides it's similar to the quick call that we saw in the personal resources tile. And what this does is it shows a list of every provider in our database that has a 24/7 manned line. So if the user doesn't want to go through the process of, trying to narrow down what type of provider, they don't know what category to pick, they can just go right here to Crisis Contacts and get help immediately with whatever they need. So finally, we go to My Account, and this is where all of the app settings are customized and personalized to help the user best find the information that they need. So right now, I have it set to my settings. My name is Kristen. If I want to change the name, I can easily do that. If I want to change the profile picture, I can click on this and it'll connect you to your gallery. Right now I don't have any pictures in this emulator, so I'll just keep it the same. If you are in a different county other than Montgomery, you can easily search and select another county. And finally, we are at the Quick Hide website. Now, as I've been going through the tutorial, you've probably seen these two buttons up in the upper right-hand corner here. And what those are, the I with the slash through it represents the Quick Hide website. So, maybe I'm not a weather.com person. Maybe I'm more of an NPR person. So if I set that and then click on this Quick Hide button, it will quickly close the app and bring up a website of my choosing. So as you just saw, I typed in npr.com or .org, and now I can go about my day. It doesn't look like anything's out of the ordinary, and that's for situations where someone walks into a room and you don't want them to see that you're using this app, so you quickly hide it. That's the profile summary page. Next is the Trusted Contacts feature. So the other button that you see, this heart, when you select it, it will send a text message to any trusted contact that you have listed here. So as you can see, I tried to send a text message. It said I didn't have any trusted contacts and I need to add them. under my account. So in order to add trusted contacts, you can add a new contact, and you can either add it manually or you can add someone from your contacts list. So I have Jane Friend here. I'm going to click on her. She has a mobile number. I'm going to click on that, and now she is listed as a trusted contact. If for whatever reason I need to remove her or edit her name or number, I can easily do that from here. If I have someone that's not in my contact list, but I still want to be able to send them a message, I can add them manually right here. And now when I click this, it'll say your trusted contacts have been notified. And in that message, this whatever you have in the emergency message is what's going to show up. So right now it's, I need your help, please contact me. But maybe you have a safe word or a safe phrase, like order a pizza, when really that means, I need your help, please contact me as soon as possible. I can save that, and now whenever I use my trusted contacts button up here in the upper right hand corner, this emergency message is the message that will be sent in that text message. Now, this happens behind the scenes. You don't have to worry about bringing up the text message dialog and sending it manually. So finally, we are at our favorite services. So earlier you had seen me tag a service provider as a favorite, and right here it just lists every service provider that you've ever tagged. And as a quick reference, you just go right here, you can click on a service provider and it will automatically bring up their details page, and from there you can call them or get whatever information you need. So that summarizes the Aviator app. I hope you enjoyed.